What would it mean if surrogacy was $50,000 cheaper? Just because you have the money to pay for a surrogacy agency, does that mean that you should do that? What else could you spend that money on? Maybe you could spend that money on your child instead of just bringing your child into this world. You could start a college fund, or you can use it to pay for a second journey. That way you can have the large family that you've been thinking of. Financial flexibility is important. You're listening to Surrogacy Made Simple with Dr. Alyssa Small-Lane, your host. Surrogacy is one of the most life-changing journeys that you will ever embark on. But if you're considering independent surrogacy, you might find yourself feeling a little bit uncertain and maybe even hesitant. What if it's too risky or complicated? Is independent surrogacy really a good choice? How do I even begin to figure this out? And what if I mess everything up? You're not alone. Many intended parents wonder the exact same things. And if you've tried searching for answers online, you've probably felt frustrated by the lack of clear, unbiased information. Because pretty much everything that you Google lands you on an agency website and steers you down the path of surrogacy with an agency. So it can leave you feeling stuck and wondering if independent surrogacy is actually a viable option. But you're still curious about this option, which is why you're here right now. Maybe you've heard of someone doing surrogacy without an agency, or you're just looking for ways to save money on an already way too expensive process. Here's the truth that agencies don't want you to know. Independent surrogacy can be safe, legal, and successful. It follows the exact same steps and involves the same professionals as with agency supported surrogacy, but it puts you in control. Yes, it's different, but it's far from impossible. The real challenge, knowing where to turn for the right guidance. Without resources to break down the process and address your concerns, it can feel overwhelming because of all of the unknowns. In a bit, I'm going to share some amazing resources that will transform your surrogacy experience. But before we get there, we have to take a look at the benefits and drawbacks, or pros and cons of independent surrogacy. It will help you to understand what independent surrogacy truly is and see if it can work for you. This is the starting point for making an informed, confident decision. So, what is independent surrogacy? Surrogacy can seem like a daunting process because it's filled with complex moving parts. There's the surrogate that you have to find, medical and psychological evaluations to complete, background checks to run, insurance review, legal contracts to draft, embryos to make, all of these things. Then there's the escrow account to set up for transferring funds securely, appointments to schedule at your fertility clinic, and dozens of other details that pop up along the way. For many intended parents, the first thought is, I can't do this on my own. I need someone to handle all of this for me. And that's exactly what surrogacy agencies are for. Agencies promise to guide you through every step, serving as the middle person to coordinate the process, offer support, and help you navigate the journey from start to finish. But what if you didn't need an agency? What if there was a way to do all of this? Thorough vetting, medical and psychological evaluations, background checks, insurance review, legal contracts, financial management, all of that without a third party agency. That's what independent surrogacy is. With this approach, you still rely on the same professionals and expertise like fertility doctors who are REIs, psychologists, attorneys, escrow managers. But instead of paying an agency to oversee everything, you take the lead yourself. Independent surrogacy, also called private or self-managed surrogacy, is when you choose to pursue surrogacy without an agency. That's the simplest definition. You take the role of coordinating the process and managing the details, but you're not doing it alone. You work directly with a trusted team of professionals to ensure every step is handled safely and legally. It's not DIY surrogacy. It's not do it yourself. That can't be overstated. You're not expected to write your own legal contracts, and you shouldn't, because that is the fast track to disaster, or to do medical evaluations on your own. What you're in charge of is selecting and working with the experts that you need. Think of it like planning a wedding. A wedding planner can handle all of the details for you, but you can also plan an amazing wedding by yourself by working with the same vendors, the florists, caterers, photographers, venues. The difference is who's managing the process, who is the project manager. Independent surrogacy follows the same essential steps as agency assisted surrogacy. Some people think that you can skip steps because you're going independently, and that's not the case. We went through the steps for independent surrogacy in detail in episode number 14, which was Independent Surrogacy Steps: How to Save $50,000 and Take Control of Your Dream. So if you missed that one, after you're done listening here, check that out. We also have a dedicated surrogacy playbook inside of our surrogacy app called Bloombridge, which walks you through in a visual way the different steps for independent surrogacy. Number one is research and learning, deciding on a fertility clinic, going through consults, making embryos. Next, you have to find a surrogate. So you're going to be connecting with surrogates either in online platforms or through your own network. Then you have screening and evaluations to make sure the surrogate that you picked is medically and psychologically fit, that she's undergone background checks, her insurance is being reviewed, and she's fully vetted and ready to go. Then you have your legal agreements, where a surrogacy attorney, not yourself, will handle all legal aspects, including drafting and finalizing your surrogacy contract to protect everyone involved. Funds for your surrogacy expenses are securely managed, usually through an escrow account by a professional escrow manager. And then you have medical coordination. The fertility clinic oversees the embryo transfer process while you handle the scheduling and communicating with the clinic. And the pregnancy care with your surrogate's OBGYN or midwife. And then you have legal parentage. When this happens, depends on the state that you're working with, but your attorney will handle the process to secure your legal rights over your child. So that is the quick and dirty outline of how surrogacy works without an agency. And as you can see, there are so many professionals and so many people to help you along the way to ensure that it is safe and secure and that you're doing things the way that you're supposed to. Surrogacy agencies, on the other hand, take on the role of coordinating these steps for you, answering the emails, reaching out to the different professionals, scheduling everything for you and your surrogate. But it's important to know that it is not a legal requirement to use an agency. Surrogacy agencies are not legally required, and you can have a legal, safe, secure surrogacy without an agency. Some intended parents are shocked to hear this, but agencies aren't even regulated or certified. Your experience and their quality can and does vary greatly, but that's a topic for a whole nother conversation, and we'll save that for later. But for now, know that you can achieve the same results with independent surrogacy, following the same checks and balances, working with the same professionals, and ensuring the same level of safety and care, just without the middle person. So, that was a very long explanation of what independent surrogacy is and isn't. Now we can finally start to think about the pros and cons of independent surrogacy. I want to start by telling you a little bit about why we chose independent surrogacy. A few years ago, I was exactly where you are right now, standing at a crossroads, trying to figure out exactly how we're going to do this surrogacy thing, trying to weigh the pros and cons. It honestly feels so surreal looking back at where we were and where we've come from since then. Three key factors tipped the scales for us and ultimately led us to our decision to pursue independent surrogacy. Factor number one was cost. Cost was a major factor. The financial burden of surrogacy is no secret. Agency fees alone can add up to $20,000, $30,000, $40,000, $50,000 or more to the total cost of surrogacy. And at that time, I had just finished up my fellowship training in gynecologic surgery as an OBGYN, getting ready to start my first attending job. And like many in this position, I didn't have a large cushion of savings to fall back on. Definitely more student loan debt than money in the bank. And choosing independent surrogacy meant that we could save on those hefty agency fees. And more importantly, we wouldn't have to borrow money to make our dream of becoming parents a reality. Number two was just questioning the roles of agencies. As I started doing my online research, I found myself on surrogacy Facebook groups, and I noticed that there were agencies there too. And what they were doing is that they were posting intended parent profiles in these groups, sharing their stories and their pictures to try to connect and advertise to potential surrogates. And it made me wonder, if an agency can post my profile online, why couldn't I just post it myself? I know how to use Facebook. I don't need somebody to do this for me. At the time, Facebook groups were a viable option, and that is where we found our surrogate, posting our profile on a Facebook group. But I now believe and have seen that there are far better ways to find your surrogate match. The realization hit me as I was scrolling through these ads from surrogacy agencies. I realized that I don't need an agency to take my photo and my story and post it online and wait for responses. I could do that. And then factor number three was just confidence in my own expertise. As an OBGYN who had undergone IVF and spent countless hours in fertility clinics, I felt equipped to advocate for myself. I knew the language, the process, and the players involved. Did I really need a third party to speak on my behalf when I could navigate the system by myself? That's my job every day, to navigate the medical system. Now, of course, I'll admit I was a bit naive in those early days. Surrogacy is much more than posting your smiling picture on Facebook and scheduling appointments at a fertility clinic. But that's where this all started for us. From that point, my husband and I dove into deep research. We consulted with different experts and we developed a strategy that allowed us to pursue surrogacy without the long waits and the higher costs associated with agencies. One of the biggest frustrations during our journey was the lack of centralized resources for independent surrogacy. Even though we are committed to independent surrogacy, we hit some challenges. One of the biggest frustrations during our journey was the lack of a centralized place for independent surrogacy resources. Like I said, every Google search seemed to land us on either an agency website or some really outdated blog. And it left us feeling like there was no clear roadmap for intended parents who wanted to go it alone. That's when I realized, if the resources that I need didn't exist and I was frustrated, then you're frustrated too. And I'm going to create those resources. I want to help parents do surrogacy in a better way so that they can become parents quicker and live the lives that they've been dreaming of. And in just a moment, I'll share with you how the resources that we've already created and the ones that are coming down the pipeline are the answers to the potential cons or drawbacks of independent surrogacy, and how you can use them today to start winning at independent surrogacy. How do I know these things will help you? Because of our success. We matched with our surrogate in a fraction of the time that agencies were quoting us. And we spent just over $55,000 total, everything: IVF, medications, surrogate fee. You can think of it, it's included in that total price. And we welcomed our beautiful daughter into the world, which was the most important part. It was the dream that we thought we would never achieve, and it was made possible by careful planning, the right strategy, and a team of trusted professionals. With the right approach, independent surrogacy is an achievable path for pretty much anyone. And here's the amazing thing: I'm not special. I was once a scared, confused, hopeful parent trying to figure it all out. You don't have to be an OBGYN or have specialized knowledge. Sure, if you're a fantastic project manager or logistics pro, lean into those strengths. Do you? But even if you're starting with no experience, you can still navigate this journey successfully. I've seen it time and time again, both in my own clients and in the students who took our Surrogacy Blueprint course. And here's something that you might not know: you're not alone. About 30% of intended parents find that the pros outweigh the cons and choose independent surrogacy. Next, let's go ahead and dive into why so many parents opt for this path and how it can work for you. The pros of independent surrogacy. So, what is it about independent surrogacy that causes so many parents to choose this path? Not surprisingly, cost savings are the significant motivator, but there are other reasons why parents to be choose independent even when they can afford an agency. As one intended parent told me, I can afford it, but why would I pay someone else to do what I can do myself? And that's true. While managing surrogacy yourself is time consuming, it's very doable. The question goes to you: how much do you value what an agency is offering? The second scenario that comes up often is when you already have a surrogate going into the process. Maybe your sister, your friend stepped up and offered to carry for you. A huge part of working with an agency is their matching services. And if you don't need help finding a surrogate, do you need an agency when you can just contact the professionals yourself and get going? Most parents who've already matched coming into this don't bother with an agency. So, no matter what leads you here, let's run through some benefits of independent surrogacy. Number one, cost savings. That has to be at the top of the list. We've mentioned it a couple times already. Agency fees alone can range from $20,000 to $50,000, sometimes even more. Yes, I've seen higher than that. On top of that, some agencies tack on extra charges like bogus mandated bonuses for surrogates to sign contracts, or these administrative markups, similar to if you're working with a contractor to build a house and they add 15% onto their invoices for their services. And these hidden costs can inflate your total expenses significantly. By choosing independent surrogacy, you eliminate agency fees and have greater control over where your money goes. The savings are substantial, and for you and many other parents, it can be the difference between pursuing surrogacy or not being a parent at all. Financial flexibility is also important. What would it mean if surrogacy was $50,000 cheaper? Just because you have the money to pay for a surrogacy agency, does that mean that you should do that? What else could you spend that money on? Maybe you could spend that money on your child instead of just bringing your child into this world. You could start a college fund, or you can use it to pay for a second journey. That way you can have the large family that you've been thinking of. Financial flexibility is important. Number two is personal connections and familiarity. One of the most beautiful aspects of independent surrogacy is the opportunity to work with someone you know and trust. If you're able to find a surrogate through personal connections, such as a best friend or a cousin, you have a unique level of comfort and trust coming into the experience. When you already share a bond with your surrogate, the journey becomes deeply personal. It's not uncommon for these relationships to grow stronger, creating unbreakable, lifelong connections between families. And even if you don't know your surrogate from before, you're going to be working with her one on one. With some agencies, they don't even let you contact each other until after contracts are signed. And then you're going through these awkward first date type conversations, and your surrogate's already pregnant. But when you get to connect with your surrogate from the start, you get to know each other on a deeper level. The familiarity can make the entire process feel more meaningful and less transactional compared to working with a surrogate you're meeting for the first time through an agency. Number three is desire for control and customization. If you're naturally hands on, you may prefer to manage the surrogacy process yourself. Sometimes these go getter type parents and surrogates have an agency, but end up basically pushing them to the side because they'd rather just get things done quickly on their own. Instead of sending a message to the agency coordinator, having them reach out to your fertility clinic and sending word back, you can just jump in the patient portal, message your medical team yourself, make an appointment, order medications, book travel, and move on with your day without working with an agency go between. If you're the type of person to just take over and jump in the driver's seat, maybe independent surrogacy is better for you. Independent surrogacy gives you freedom to make decisions without agency interference. You can negotiate directly with your surrogate, set your own preferences for surrogate qualifications like age, health, and lifestyle, as long as they fit within your fertility clinic's recommendation. You can choose professionals that you want to work with, including lawyers, fertility clinics, psychologists. This level of involvement allows you to create a surrogacy plan tailored to your needs rather than adapting to a one size fits all package that agencies often promote. Remember the wedding planning analogy? You know how some of them come with a package deal? You know how some of them come with a package deal where you have just two cakes to choose from, you're going to use the on site photographer and the on site kitchen, and it's okay, but it's not what you really want? Agencies may offer prepackaged experiences like that. But independent surrogacy lets you customize every detail to align with your vision. And that rolls us right into the next point, which is flexibility. Independent surrogacy offers a degree of flexibility that agencies just simply can't match. Without strict rules or a standardized process, you and your surrogate can craft an arrangement that works best for both of you. And this might include deciding on a compensation that feels fair and mutually agreeable, setting schedules and timelines that work for your unique circumstances, adjusting terms as needed without being bound by agency policies. This freedom empowers both of you as the intended parent and the surrogate to navigate the journey on your own terms. Number five is building a direct relationship. One of the most underrated advantages of independent surrogacy is the chance to build a close, direct relationship with your surrogate. Without an agency acting as a middle person, you can foster open communication and mutual trust. This personal connection often enhances the emotional journey, making the experience more rewarding for both parties. Can you have a close relationship with an agency journey? Absolutely. And there are many people that do. It depends on each person's personality, their surrogate identity, which we talk about often here, but it just has a different feel than with independent surrogacy. For many parents, the benefits of independent surrogacy boil down to one thing: freedom. Whether it's saving money, having more control, or developing a closer bond with your surrogate. This path allows you to shape the experience around your needs and your values. You are free to do surrogacy on your terms. Independent surrogacy is probably sounding pretty good right now, isn't it? But there's more to it, isn't there? Independent surrogacy isn't without its challenges. I admitted that we had challenges ourselves. Let's get into some of the drawbacks of doing surrogacy without an agency because you should know this and you should be going into it eyes wide open. Then, as I promised, I'll tell you about the amazing things that we can help you with so that you can start winning with surrogacy today. Here's a hint: you're already doing one of them. Okay, so 6 cons of independent surrogacy. Number 1, time and effort required. Managing independent surrogacy involves taking on the coordination of multiple moving parts, all of those things that we already mentioned in the steps to independent surrogacy, from researching how to do surrogacy, what's the best fertility clinic, questions to ask a surrogate, and then finding and vetting professionals like fertility doctors, lawyers, and psychologists, scheduling all the different appointments, handling logistics like travel arrangements, financial transfers. This can feel like a part time job, especially for first time intended parents. You're giving up the opportunity to just pay someone else to do all this work for you so that you can focus on your work, your hobbies, your interests, or picking a color for the nursery. Number two is emotional stress. The lack of an intermediary means that you'll need to directly manage the relationship, which can be awkward at times, and address conflicts and misunderstandings with your surrogate. Many people are conflict averse. So, having these difficult conversations is not something that comes natural and not something that most people look forward to doing. Number three is difficulty in matching with a surrogate. Finding the right surrogate can be one of the most stressful and lengthy parts of the process. You don't have an agency's matching service to fall back on. Matching is one of the key roles of an agency, and you're saying no to. How are you going to find a match quickly on your own if you don't already know someone? I've seen parents trying to match independently for over a year. And I can tell you, it doesn't need to be that way. With the right strategy, you should be able to match with a surrogate in a number of weeks. Number four is screening challenges. Without an agency to pre screen, once you do find that surrogate, you're responsible for making sure that the potential surrogate is legit and that you're not being scammed because there are scammers out there, that you're ensuring that the surrogate meets medical qualifications, ideally before your fertility clinic gets involved, because more and more fertility clinics are charging you fees for reviewing records from potential surrogates. Number five is limited professional guidance. Independent surrogacy means foregoing the structured guidance that agencies provide. You won't have a built in support system overseeing the process, leaving you to coordinate the various professionals on your own. That's the definition of independent surrogacy. Independent surrogacy isn't DIY, and you have professionals to help you, but with an agency, you have one more professional service on your side. Number six is overwhelm from lack of experience. For first time intended parents, the surrogacy process can feel like a maze of legal, medical, and logistical requirements. Sometimes it's just overwhelming knowing where to start, how to get out of the starting gate, and what steps to take. All right, it's a lot. I too feel the anxiety going through that list, and I remember what it was like to be in your shoes not too long ago. It was so frustrating that there weren't any resources to help with independent surrogacy. To address all of these challenges and make surrogacy easier for you, we've created Junie's Digital Surrogacy Toolkit. It's a collection of amazing resources designed to empower you and simplify every step of the surrogacy journey. Our resources have lived in many different places, like our website, gojunie.com, but we've been steadily creating a unique experience for you inside the Bloombridge Surrogacy app. Depending on when you're listening to this, some of these features are live right now, and others are going to be a teaser or available elsewhere. What's most important is this toolkit can help you overcome the cons of independent surrogacy today, right now. So we have our Bloombridge Surrogacy app. It's iOS currently, Android is coming. And through the app, you have access to curated articles, surrogacy playbooks that lay out exactly what you need to do to get over any humps that you're having. And it also has exclusive content to guide you through surrogacy. And coming soon, a professional database of vetted people to work with. That way you don't have to hunt and peck all over the internet trying to figure out who you should contact. And a matching feature to help you link up with surrogates. And then we have our flagship Surrogacy Blueprint course, which we've been offering for a couple of years now. If you're tired of scrolling through forums, trying to find your information to figure out how to do surrogacy, the Surrogacy Blueprint is for you. You learn everything you need to know from I don't even know what surrogacy is to creating a strategy to match with a surrogate in a step-by-step format. And since you have open access, you can go at an easy pace or binge it all in a weekend and just get going. And then we have our Surrogacy Vetting Essentials Guide. If you want to quickly find the right surrogate without wasting time on unqualified candidates or facing a broken match, this guide is for you. It breaks down the 6 most common reasons that matches fall apart and the strategies to avoid them to ensure a smooth, successful journey from your very first conversation with a surrogate. It has my 5-step go to process to quickly vet and pre screen a potential surrogate, the right questions to find your perfect match, and start your surrogacy journey on the right foot. It's a comprehensive tool to help you screen and vet potential surrogates with confidence. We have our premium training, Safe Surrogacy, helping you to avoid misstep scams and pitfalls. We have our 5 secrets to a quick match that agencies aren't telling you about. You don't have to worry about waiting endlessly for the right surrogate. With the information in this guide, you can grab a copy today and have a baby in your arms while other people are still on an agency waitlist. Then, Surrogacy Made Simple podcast, which you're listening to right now, and our one-on-one strategy sessions, which are personalized support in a video session one-on-one with me, your surrogacy expert, to help support you and navigate through different challenges, help you make decisions, and stay on track. Independent surrogacy can feel overwhelming at first glance with its complexities and responsibilities. But when you break it down and approach it strategically, it transforms into a journey filled with opportunity to save time and money, build personal connections, and take control of one of the most important experiences of your life. Yes, there are challenges, but with the right resources, those challenges become stepping stones to success. That's why we've created Junie's digital surrogacy toolkit to ensure that neither you nor other intended parent has to navigate this journey feeling lost or unsupported. You can find all the links in the show notes where you're listening right now. Independent surrogacy is not without its challenges. I'm not here to sell you on this path being smooth sailing. It's hard work, and I wouldn't be doing you a service if I did that. But if you're considering independent surrogacy and trying to see how the pros and cons shake out and would work for you, hopefully our conversation cleared things up. If you take just one thing away from our talk, let it be this. You don't need to be an expert or have all the answers from the start. Independent surrogacy isn't going it alone. It's about taking charge of your journey, using the right resources, and building a strong community that's here to support you. Now it's your turn. Imagine the moment where you're finally holding your baby in your arms, knowing you took a unique, empowering path to get there. If independent surrogacy is for you, let today be the first day of an amazing journey. Thank you so much for sharing this time with me. You're at the beginning of something beautiful.